Today, another short update video on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Not much has happened over the weekend. Strong consolidation, maybe we'll see more volatility this evening. That often happens on Sunday evenings. If not, we'll have to wait for the market opening tomorrow. And above all, I'm interested in what BlackRock will do tomorrow. Will they sell or will they buy more Bitcoins? And we'll analyze that in tomorrow's video. For Bitcoin, I actually see a potential price target of 110, 0 to 111, 0 right now, but we'll also look at where it can go further down. Why are the 110 or 111,000 levels so interesting? We'll go through the liquidation heat map together. This is also the case with Ethereum, although it's quite different here. We have very balanced liquidation zones both above and below us. Additionally, we'll take another look at my positions. Because the Bitcoin long position I opened due to this war event crash is now 8% in profit. It's actually only a $5,000 position, but I'm prepared here in case we do see lower prices. Otherwise, not much has changed with my US dollar positions. I've also just opened a new XRP position here. I'll also explain a few things about that. Of course, we'll also go through the trading bots because I currently have trading bots running and I'll keep you updated in every video so you can see how they're performing. And with that, the last trading bot I started due to this war event is currently still in the red, but I'm also very confident here that we'll move back up. In addition, we've only executed 21 out of the 50 planned buyback orders so far. By the way, I've also started some new trading bots. I'm currently testing something neutral with Spot Grid for a specific reason, because here I have the opportunity to increase my Ethereum holdings. This bot increases US Tether, and this bot is set up so that I increase my Ethereum. Both are neutral, but each one is running with a very small budget. Really, just for testing purposes, if you're interested in that, I'd be happy to make a separate video about it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll explain why I'm doing this, what my strategy is, my approach, and why I'm now split testing these two with exactly the same budget. But let's get started. Bitcoin currently actually has two bullish signals. So what I see here, if we switch to the 1 hour chart, we have the possibility of an ascending triangle. That's the very first thing I want to show you. Because here we haven't managed to make higher highs. Of course, this could also be a double top. We must not forget that. These two highs that we haven't been able to surpass, but right now we're making higher lows here, and that's actually a bullish sign that we have here from this ascending triangle. This is a bullish pattern. Not only that, if we also take a look at the Fibonacci extension, if we actually continue here in a bullish trend, then we would have a price target of around 110 to 111,000 US dollars that we could reach. And if we look at this with the liquidation heat map and compare everything, we would actually have exactly in this price range, where this Fibonacci extension level is, where all the liquidity is, which is of course super interesting for the market makers. Because on a 1 week basis, we don't have that much lying below. Of course, we also have to keep in mind that new negative news coming in can quickly push us back down. The only advantage I currently see, and we can also take a look at this in the 4 hour charties, that the current consolidation zone we have here, if we now look at the VPVR, shows that the largest order block is currently below us. That means if we actually break through this ascending triangle to the upside, which would fit very well then, we would have less order volume here again. And that could actually take us to higher price targets. That would be the first point. The second point is, normally when we have a dump like this I also want to show you in detail. As you can clearly see for yourself, we had the significant war event sell-off here, and then the price gradually recovered over a period of time, step by step. Actually, this is exactly a price zone that market makers often like to target, especially when there is massive long activity happening here, and that's simply a sign that massive longs are coming in here. And this shouldn't be forgotten if we look at this. This was actually the price area where the bottom formed after the war event, and you can see there isn't necessarily a lot of liquidity here. We'll also look at the last 3 days, because here as well we've shown it precisely, and it was exactly this price area. Of course, we have a bit of liquidity here, but right where it happened, only a little built up gradually, and not so much that we could say there's a huge amount lying directly underneath. What does that mean? What happened here was, of course, in that price area, the war event came in. It actually came in right here. Sorry, it happened here. With that night, the price was dumped. That means apparently a lot of shorts were open, the price was pushed down, and when shorts are closed, that's done with a buy position. And that's more likely the reason here why the price then rose again. Because people didn't go long right away. Even I only entered here at around 103,700, but that people immediately went long with counter positions here apparently wasn't seen, at least according to the liquidation heat map. And that's very, very interesting to see, so maybe we won't come back to pick up this wick again. Never say never, of course it can happen at any time, but we're working with probabilities here. In addition, we can also look at it from a Fibonacci technical perspective. The important levels for my, if we draw this in here, we actually just barely missed the 0.786 level. And if we look at this on the 1 hour chart and zoom in a bit, you can see that the 0.618 level was targeted several times. That's this line right here. Then we had the 0.559 level, which was also repeatedly targeted, which also acted as support. And at this moment, the 0.5 level this is exactly this last line here rise becoming our latest resistance. We'll see if we can get above it, if it actually works out and we get the breakout, or if we end up seeing even lower prices again. At the moment, because of this pattern and the liquidation heat map since, we have quite a bit more liquidity above use. I'm rather bullish, but I'm also prepared with my long positions, which are currently still running without a stop loss. If we do see lower prices, I'll increase those positions and lower my average entry price further. By the way, could this price dump here have been predicted? I want to quickly show you something in between before we continue with Ethereum, but also with my trading positions. Because the opportunity to enter a short here where are indicators for that, which I've only recently learned about. And it's actually called the Pentagon Pizza Index or Pizza Index Report, something like that. There are websites that track all the pizzerias around the Pentagon. And you can see here in this case, on June 12th, right, when that attack happened, the one that just occurred again in the east here was suddenly a spike in pizza orders. And not just at Pizza District in this case, but really at several others as well. You can check this out at Pentagon Pizza Report on X. And if you scroll through it, you'll see that there were suddenly several spikes on June 12th and 13th, which led to a huge number of pizza orders. And in fact, I once analyzed this with JeffGPT, and this pattern can be observed all the way back to 1983. Every time before something major happened in the world, especially war events, there was a spike in these pizza orders. You can also just Google Pentagon Pizza Index. You'll find a lot of articles about it. I simply asked JeffGPT to give me a few events from the past where this also happened. And this really did happen regularly in connection with various world events related to war. So it's actually super fascinating. Now let's move on to eFaro. Right now, I actually see eFaro more as a bit of a problem child. Why? For what reason? Although we're currently making higher lows here, we also have a resistance level that we need to break through to the upside. And if we zoom out again on eFaro, at least the positive aspect at this point is that the largest order block volume we currently have, according to the volume profile, is below us. And we first need to see if we can actually get back above this level. What I don't really like about eFaro at the moment is that if we were to look solely at the chart pattern, we would actually have a bearish pennant here. And a bearish pennant would have a much lower price target, which would be somewhere down here in the area of $1,100. But what I've noticed now is that whether I look at 3 months or 6 months, there isn't much in this price range right here. In fact, what we do have in this price range is this support level, which we also reached with these candles moving downward, and not just once, but twice in this price range. That means with a global event, with something new, I could imagine that we might see this price again. But otherwise, we actually have further support possibilities here, which are still within this upward trend provided by these candles here. But above all, this green key level that I have marked here, which is roughly between 2,300 and 2,200. To finish up, a quick word about my positions. Each of the 5x positions is now at a profit of 9.27%. That means Bitcoin is currently continuing to rise. I've also scaled the 100x position a bit. I also explained that in the last video, maybe just as an overview, if we take a look at that. Since April, when we had that massive sell-off, I've been regularly going long on Bitcoin taking profits. Going long again, taking profits again. And that's basically how I've been doing it the whole time. And this was just my most recent one, which went long in this price range, where I also hope to take profits at the top again. Then we also have my US dollar position, meaning the coin margin positions. After taking profits at the top with Bitcoin, I've now scaled my currently open position again. And now it also has a higher entry price of just under $95,000. Or rather, it's actually $94,000. So previously it was at $91,000, and now I've realized almost $2,000. I've also opened an XLP position. With XLP, I do this regularly, where I say I open a single leverage position. I always start with 250 XLP in case the price drops. I compound that, but I also regularly take out a few XLP for myself. That means I handle these positions without any headaches and make sure to regularly realize a few XLP. You can also see this in the past. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. Here it was 4, here it was 3. I also did this recently with Solana and Dogecoin. But that's just how it is. I simply increase my XLP holdings a little bit. The eFaro US dollar INX position with a size of nearly $20,000 has now realized $4,000 and still has $3,000 open. I'm actually still waiting to scale there. The trading bot SAS I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the first trading bot, which hasn't been active for very long yet, is currently a bit in the red due to the recent crash we had, but that's not really a huge problem since we've only had 21 buyback orders so far and all the others are still in profit. Of course, I continue to keep you updated on this in every video. With these neutral grid botsins, I had a very in-depth conversation with someone about them. I'm now also curious to see how they'll perform in the future. You can see here with the APR though that it can shoot up very quickly, but it can also drop just as fast. And that's why I'm curious about the long-term performance here, especially about increasing my Ethereum holdings, but also about growing my US Tether, because overall, I'm rather bullish on Ethereum in the long run. That means increasing my Ethereum holdings a bit through this would of course be interesting, because with this bot at least, those are immediately set aside. And then I hold additional Ethereum. I'm happy to share more information if you're interested, otherwise leave a like. For those who haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and also left a like on this video. And until next time, bye bye.